That's a very important signal that India is sending out to the world. Those who say India either buckled under pressure, or those who say India is not standing with either Iran or Israel, or is being too close to one and not the other. What signal goes out here when an Iranian warship in distress was permitted to come into an Indian port, and those 183 sailors, thank God they're alive and they're safe because they're in India. I want to bring Vice Admiral AK Singh, former Commander-in-Chief of Eastern Naval Command, joining me on this broadcast. Commodore Praveen Rajpal also joins me on this broadcast. Both ace submariners. Such a privilege having two ace submariners on the show. Admiral Singh, let me begin by asking you, sir, the ship that was given permission to come to India and berth at Kochi, the 183 sailors are safe. Is India in violation of any international law, or actually upheld international law by permitting that ship to come in?
See, on humanitarian ground, this is permitted. There's that famous 1907 Hague Convention. Only thing is, first of all, you should know, Gaurav, this particular ship is 52 years old. So I'm pretty sure she would have had some defects. So that is one. Secondly, the Americans have got such maritime domain awareness, they would have sunk it in no time, and they would have perhaps lost the entire crew. So the only thing is, as per the Hague Convention now, when she comes into Cochin, her crew has to be interned, and she's not to take part in any sailing outside, because these are the norms. So as far as this ship is concerned, and I think also the ship which has entered Colombo in Sri Lanka, they'll both have to sit out the war.
They'll have to sit out the entire war. But had IRIS Dena also been granted that permission, Commodore Praveen Rajpal, perhaps that crew of 183 may also have survived. Were they hung out to dry? How would you read that situation, sir?
Good evening, Gaurav. Well, I do not think, as I said on your program other day also, that Dana could have, known that there was a submarine lurking under it. Why I'm saying is because when Lavan gave a signal to India on 28th of February, and first we approved its entry into Kochi, it was much before Dana was sunk. There were other 4 days. Dana was sunk only on 4th. So I do not think linking the two incidents is correct. Well, let me tell you, as regards Lavan, let me explain it to your viewers how a warship has to function. For it to be able to, meet its criteria or meet its aim, it has to meet 3 capabilities. It should be able to float, it should be able to move, and it should be able to fight a war. So any of these 3 capabilities are degraded, it cannot meet its objectives or the aim. So in the present case, on 28th, when it signaled that I need to come into the harbor, I have got a technical problem, and Indian government gave its approval for that. It could be anything. It could be a breach on its hull, for which it needs to be dry docked for repairs. It could be on its propulsion system, for which you need to have a lot of spares of. It could be the engine, it could be the shaft. As regards the fighting, it could have any problems on its weapons and sensors. And as Admiral AK Singh said, it's a 50-year-old ship. The defects are anticipated, and believe me, it's 2,000 miles away from Iran.
True. Admiral Singh, when a ship comes in for an international fleet review, or when it comes in, when she comes in for an exercise like Milan, would she be armed? Would she be completely unarmed? And if the ship was completely unarmed, was it unfair for the Americans to sink it in international waters, or all is fair in love and war?
See, first of all, Gaurav, all warships, when they go on deployment, they are armed. Nobody, whether our own naval ships go for exercises all over the world, they are armed. Now, there are different policies in arming. Some of the ammunition, for example, some missiles, their shelf life reduces drastically when you put them on a ship. From 8 or 10 years, it becomes 1 year, or anti-ship missiles. So there, the government might say, okay, instead of carrying 10 missiles, you'll carry only 2. But things like gun ammunition, torpedoes, etc., these are normally you carry your 100% outfit. And during the exercise, of course, a lot of orders are issued to ensure that by mistake nobody opens fire. That's all. So the rumor which is going around that the Iranian ship was not armed. Incidentally, I was there for the IFR in Vishakhapatnam, and I saw this ship at very close quarters during the President's Fleet Review, and I also saw the contingent marching. And to the best of my knowledge, all these ships which have taken part, all warships of any type of any country, when they sail out on deployment, they are armed.
So they are armed. So, the criticism that's coming America's way, Commodore Rajpal, that an unarmed ship was sunk, do you find that criticism fair or unfair? Point one. Point two, this was a training ship. It had a large number of trainee sailors on board. Or the Americans, it's par for course. They're at war with Iran. They've sunk 41 other ships. This was the 42nd they sunk.
Well, a warship is a warship. I wouldn't call it the training ship. It carries soldiers, sailors, officers, and men. So it's a warship. It needs to fight a war. Only thing is, it was 2,000 miles away from Iran. So what? And whatever US has done, whether it's right or wrong, legally correct, does it meet the UN Charter 51? For myself, if I have to say, they are not at war. They've just said it's a conflict at the moment, and the rules of war do not apply. So what they have done, the submarine commander got an order to sink it. They did their job. The ship traversing back, in any case, had it gone into the North Arabian Sea, it would have encountered the carrier battle group, which is already positioned there.
Yes.
It wouldn't have survived the carrier battle group in any case. And at least now it was closer to the Sri Lankan port, Sri Lankan land, 32 survivors. Had it happened in middle of the Arabian Sea, you wouldn't have had even a single survivor.
Admiral AK Singh, is that also your reading? The ship's fate was sealed the moment the balloon went up between Iran and the United States and Israel. The flotilla, the two aircraft carrier strike groups would have taken her down. Perhaps she would have been safer had she stayed in harbor in India?
Yes, I agree with you. Absolutely, Gaurav. I think she should have just stayed put in India under some pretext or the other and sat out the war.
Should have sat out the war. But, for any sailor, Commodore Rajpal, any sailor worth his salt would want to join battle. I mean, I'm just asking from the perspective of a sailor, given the kind of criticism that is coming, if that ship was sailing, the Americans are well within their rights to take down the Iranian Navy, as is a designated goal given by the President of the United States of America to the US Navy, sir.
What you're saying is right. If the submarine got an order to shoot it down, they did their job. But was it legally correct or no? That is a point to be noted here. Did the submarine get any threat from the ship? I mean, they were well in the international waters, having their own immunity. Was the submarine under threat from the ship? No. Did the response of a submarine, was it proportionate to, even if there was a threat? No, it was not a proportionate response. I mean, shooting down a ship just like that, sinking a ship just like that. So, as I said, the legal eagles would actually, dissect this whole thing threadbare in the next few days for it to happen. But yeah, it was, as India has already condoled those deaths, losing 100 odd sailors was not easy for anybody. And believe you me, for a man at war, whether it's a sailor or an officer, he would love to be at sea. Even the ship which is in Kochi at the moment, I'm sure, the moment the repairs are done, it would love to go back to its own country.
Admiral AK Singh, the last 30 seconds that I have on this part of the show, would you want to weigh in that ship would have been safer had it stayed in harbor in India? However, any sailor would want to be at sea. Do you think the American reaction was an overreaction, sinking a ship, disproportionate use of force?
See, first of all, that particular ship, the commanding officer of that ship, Dena, he would have followed orders from his own naval headquarters. If they told him to sail, he sails. His personal feelings don't count. Secondly, once a shootout starts, and there are ships sinking each other, and there are plenty of cases in history, in the First World War, Second World War, etc. You can be in a different ocean also. If you meet, you are fair game. Okay. The commanding officer of that submarine has got his orders to shoot. The commanding officer of this Iranian ship had orders to sail back. They're carrying out their orders, but once the shooting war starts off, your fair game, it doesn't matter whether you're 2,000 miles or 50 miles from your base port.
And the American president has just said more than 40 ships have been sunk so far. We'll be tracking that story very closely. Admiral AK Singh and Commodore Rajpal for joining me here on this India Today special broadcast. Many thanks. But one of those Iranian ships, it sought Refuge. They said there was some technical issue, and following the international rules of sea and norms, India gave refuge to the ship and to the 183 sailors on board who are currently interned here in India, in Kochi. We will be tracking that story.